I'm Dr. Fred Ogola. I'm a professor of strategy and decision making at Aegis and Strathmore Business School. This week in the news, we saw that civil servants' pay cut will be cut by 100 billion. That has a lot of impact on the economy. Williamson Tea eyes buyers in Pakistan, meaning their traditional markets are being disrupted. Diamond Trust Bank is to spend 350 billion Kenya shillings to open new branches. That means that they are growing and economy looks very good for them. Kenya pursues a waiver or IMF loans because the conditions which were given, remember they were given a conditional facility. So the conditions had to be met. So they are trying to look for some waivers to make it work. While Safaricom shares is going up now 30 shillings. County medical leasing deal extended for another 3 years. As we continue, we also see that Joe Biden has discovered that the deal that was negotiated by Trump with Kenya is not right. So he has dumped it and asked his team to review it so that we can look for a better way to do it. Of course, fuel price is an issue, so State House called the Ministry of Energy to ensure that fuel prices remains unchanged. UON University of Nairobi, that is an adult university, have been given a very big beat because their budget has been cut because of the economic pressure which is happening in the country, and the government need to control that pressure. Of course, we never know whether that's good or bad. And lastly, in the news which is trending this week is about M-Pesa, now links with paybill, with Telkom and Airtel Money, so that we can actually be able to use Safaricom to make payments across all lines, Airtel, Telkom, and the rest. Now, what do we make of this news? Something comes very interesting here, that the public sector needs to fix their mess, and this is not just Kenya. Globally, the public sector is not performing very well. Like you can see, for example, a lot of innovation happening in all US economy, UK economy, Kenyan economy, and the rest, while the private sector is getting their acts right. Now, this sends us to a very important topic we need to discuss about, which is crisis or leadership. Let me give context to this. We have already talked about the pandemic, which is a crisis. That's COVID-19 pandemic was a crisis. We have also been able to talk about the issue of financial crisis, global financial crisis. But I want to put your attention that now we are talking about global leadership crisis. And I want to tell you that all the money problems you are getting, all the financial crisis you can foresee, they are coming from global leadership crisis. So using what is called trust barometer, we have seen analysis by finding out that at the moment, business is more trusted than government and the media. Why? Is because you can see Safaricom is performing well when the global economy is not performing very well. You can see, we can see, for example, banks are performing well when, in global sense, we are not seeing government performing well. Meaning that the business are getting their acts together, and as we shall see later, performance determines trust and credibility. Even if you say you have a good brand, but people look at performance. So we are realizing here that there's a crisis that we need to follow here in terms of global leadership crisis. For now, private sector can perform well, even if the public sector is not doing very well. But the mess in the public sector globally, where we have a leadership gap, conundrum, if you like, is going to affect the global financial aspects. And the private sector will have these challenges if government cannot put the acts together. So let's look at 5 things we need to learn. The first thing is businesses are becoming more trusted more than government and the media, and that means that the government is not having proper performance, the government is not addressing the right issues, and the media has not been able to report very well to help the crisis. The second thing, young people are trying to have more trust in business than they have in the government, the media. And that's why young people, for example, in developed economies, for example, in advanced African economies, young people are quitting government and they're trying to look for their own businesses to set them up. But in some countries which are emerging countries, for example, if you look at the countries like Burundi, You look at countries like Somalia, you go to countries like South Sudan, you can compare DRC. There's a feeling that young people want to go to work in government because they believe they can get easy money through politics, because they believe that politics is where easy money is. They are not going into business, but countries, for example, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, among those leading African economies, young people are moving from government and trying to set up their own businesses because they believe that the future is. So there's more trust in business than trust in the media and in the government. And also the other thing we have seen is performance and transparency is essential in trust barometers. For example, any business that performs well and seems to be transparent in how they convey their communication, they tend to be more trusted than businesses that only is advertising and making noise about how big their brand is, but they can't perform. That's why you see whenever a company is facing any crisis in terms of legitimacy, they go on to advertise how their share prices are growing, how their market share is growing, how their global footprint is growing, and the rest. And of course, the fourth one, business must partner with government so that both business and government can regain their trust. For example, we see PPPs, public-private partnerships, have been taken as the new currency because they believe that the private sector will bring the efficiency and effectiveness that comes with it, and the public sector will bring the stability because it is one of the biggest consumers in the economy. So the partnership between business and government will drive a lot of trust in the economy, global economy, regional economy, and national economy. And lastly, information quality now is the most powerful tool to gain trust. So all media houses, all governments, all private institutions, individuals, you have to work on how you communicate and how you outlet the information. These will give you more trust, because the crisis of leadership shows that the least trusted people are government officials. They are followed by leaders like CEOs. The most trusted profession now is lecturers. Of course, I'm saying that because I'm a professor. So the most trusted people are professors, the least trusted are government officials. So how can we be able to bring the competency that has in academia into solving the political, economic, public-private loss of trust? Thank you.